racist Willy Wonka. Also, against people who are orange. Like people who call the president, who is once again a racist. He came back around. But while the GOP seems to have an almost fetishistic love of hamburgers right now, the beef industry is well embedded into our government despite little direct contribution. The current head of the USDA is Sonny Perdue, who is the founder and still a partner in an agricultural trading company.
What is this place? It looks like a ruined village, but...
It's my ruined village.
Smells like demons. Even a devil or two. This place has been hit by legions from the lower plains.
Know that these are not the Ilfarn ruins we seek. Is this your birth village?
This was your home? I didn't realize you were from a mare village. Must have been a tough childhood.
Know that this was not our intended destination. Something is wrong. We are close to where we were meant to be. Are there any ancient Ilfarn structures near your birth village?
Yes.
If so, that is where we must go. Then that is our true destination. Yet only something of great power could have turned away our arrival from the ruins.
Something more powerful than teleporting around? Great.
We should be on our guard. It is possible that whatever caused this disruption is still present. Such disruption may be due to our enemies seeking us. Or, do you hear something? It is like the sound of a child wailing. Yes, I agree. Though I do not believe anyone lives, we may still wish to... Let us see where our path takes us.
Welcome back to West Harbor.
Not exactly a happy homecoming festival, huh? Sorry. I saw the look on your... I didn't realize you'd come from a village like this. I thought life... I guess I never really thought about where you came from. Not really. I thought heroes, well, started in great sweeping castles. I suppose so. But I doubt it.
You're gonna
Don't
die,
let it go to your head or
Shaka.
anything, but you'd be a tough pair of boots to fit into.
All based on very little science. And it makes sense, because the government doesn't coerce or promote itself to boost our economy and what seemed like zero negative consequences. Only it totally has consequences, and they have chosen to ignore them. That headline is points, by the way, Obama what's going on. And this is where we get the weirdest twist of the whole video. Because one of the few things helping to solve our beefy problem is not only consumerism, but the motherfucking Whopper. Specifically, the Impossible Whopper, currently being tested by Burger King. Made with exactly zero meat, despite tasting exactly like meat. The company teamed up with the recent startup Impossible Foods after their market research found that 90% of the people who buy plant-based fake meat aren't vegetarians, but rather carnivorous humans looking for a healthy alternative. And that's why you might have noticed that I've yet to mention animal rights aspects. Not that this is important to talk about, but rather that this isn't about an army of latte-sipping vegan Nazis making these suck off the supreme cow emperor of New Green America. We're not talking about taking away your temperament, but rather regulating how much meat you serve while finding a culinary equivalent.
This is where the sound is coming from. The wailing of the child is strong. There is a familiar sensation about it. It's not the sound. It is powerful. This place is a sacred place. Know that when we know more,
You just follow me and stay close.
They killed the dogs.
Outlined everything from changing technology all the way to eliminating last latter being something you could avoid, we come at this with a cool head. Or we can all be a bunch of little Tucko Carl bums about it.
Listen, we gotta address factory farming. Maybe we shouldn't be eating a hamburger for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real. Maybe we shouldn't be eating hamburgers. I mean, that's wild. Or driving cars or using appliances or having a middle class.
Yeah. How dare that horrible woman suggest we maybe not eat hamburgers 3 times a day and by extension try to destroy the entire middle class. It's clearly what she was saying there. Thanks, Tucker. Oh, and also, she once ate a hamburger. So how can we even trust anything she says about how we should probably cut down on meat? And this is going to be the big, stupid problem. We have a group of serious people attempting to address meat consumption in the U.S. And the GOP is ready to sell that as a war on hamburgers. Several agricultural heavy states are already pushing back from the semantics of vegetarian food labels, often with bipartisan support, because the meat industry knows what's coming and is fighting back. The Nebraska bill banning vegetarian products from using the word meat has been introduced by a state senator named Carol Blood, which, while technically unrelated, is just something I need to share. I really want to start this. But as companies like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat keep meeting consumer demands, we're going to see a bunch of insufferable neckties talking more and more about a war on hamburgers. Then we're going to see a bunch of media sites report on it like it's a real thing. And the cycle will keep going until we're either forced to eliminate meat altogether and resort to eating rat burgers with Dennis Leary, or just let the planet die, which is something at least 70% of you probably don't want. But if we all, every political side, can ignore this as the bogus and corporate-funded hysteria that it will be, maybe we can get ahead of the issue and address it like adults. Adults who, if we desire,
Can't hear shit. Microphone's on. Oh, I don't have my headphones on. Can't hear shit. Microphone's on. Oh, I don't have my headphones on. Can't hear shit. Microphone's on. So you can hear it very faintly. You have no idea what I'm responding to.
Hey, what do you want? Like on that video, like, subscribe, comment,
Wraiths.
And a
What is that?
It is a
witch?
thrall of the King of Shadows, a Shadow Reaver.
Shadow Reaver.
And there, behind it, is the statue of purification.
No, they destroyed the statue of purification.
You have come far for nothing. The statue's power is spent. Another has taken it, but it will not stop us.
Another has undergone the ritual of purification? You speak lies.
But it does not matter. The thief has not completed the rest of the ritual, the parts you bear. Once you are slain and the other statues cast down, none shall stand against us.
Then as long as the other one who completed the ritual lives, we have a chance. All we have to do is defeat you.
Ah, Gith. Zerai. You cannot stop me. Why the Illithids use your people as slaves is beyond me. It was a waste to you both.
And why the King of Shadows would use you for a similar purpose is not known to me. But the fact that you cannot break his grip tells of your weakness.
Weakness. My power is more than it. Even if you should wound me, I shall reform within the veil of Merdelaine, as strong as before. No one has yet bested one of us, and none of us have suffered a wound from...
To place such faith in powers that have been untested caused the downfall of Ilfarn as well.
You are already defeated. You simply do not know it, but you will.
Know that speaking words does not make them truth. Prove it, thrall.
Oh. Damn. I got fucked up somehow. That would be a spell. A big-ass spell.
It is done. But know that we have only bought time, not achieved victory. We have only driven it off. It will return, as it said, and there will be more. No, but we do not need to. No, we must find the one the Reaver spoke of. The one who completed the ritual. We will need their aid to defeat the King of Shadows.
But that could be anyone. We don't even know who that is. I can't believe we came all this way for nothing.
Nothing. Know that we have completed 4 parts of the ritual. We have learned another holds the 5th. And most importantly, we know that our enemy fears our plans.
I know. I just feel like we should do something.
Know
Kegger.
that this road is at an end, but time may
Grave?
have opened other roads to us. There is
Beach party.
hope. You must believe it. Know that we have 2 weapons against the King of Shadows. The ritual in all its parts, and a fully forged sword of the Githyanki. We will need the sword no matter what transpires. Let us pursue that
Transpires.
path, and perhaps the second path shall be revealed to us. Whoever completed the ritual did so for a reason. And that reason means they will be searching for us. Know that the intention of completing the ritual says more than it may seem. Whoever has done this has done so to hurt the King of Shadows. And to do that, they will need a silver sword just as we do. In so doing, they have set foot upon a path that must cross ours. And if we have a silver sword, the time of that Amangero knew much of the Githyanki silver swords. Finding his haven and recovering the knowledge of those swords is the only step we should return to Crossroad Keep. To the Lore Keeper, he knows much of Neverwinter. And he may know more than we of where to find some trace.
Except for the restless soul, Galileo, king of night vision, king of insight. Remembrance. Hearth shield. Amulet of electrical resistance and Ichthy's neck knife. And another remembrance. +2, +3, nice. Fire resistance. Okay. I'll see what it says in the tin. Oh. Another remembrance. And now I'm back on Arval. Arval? The ruins. Oh, I don't have my headphones on.
Known to me, but the fact that you cannot
I don't have my headphones on.
known to me, but the but the
Okay.
but the
Okay. I'll go ahead and mute that so we don't get snippets of conversation every 5 seconds. To Crossroad Keep. Should have Bevel now, unless he only shows up in Act 3. Why are you always injured? The Master's Rod.
No, I'm carrying far too much useless garbage. Going to have to dump some of this.
Why can I not? Oh, because I'm wielding 2 weapons. Boom. And it's still. Oh, it's because I'm small. Still, it's nice. It's a nice weapon. Hold on to it. Hold on to that. That is a really nice sword. Pretty sure the only person left in my party who... yeah. Ethereal jaunt once per day. Yeah. I'll hold on to this. I'll hold on to that too. Not the scythe. I think what's his nuts can use that. It's a nice hammer, so I'll hold on to it. And to that. I'll hold on to both of those stabs. This is not a... It's a nice sword, but it's not really...
Yes.
Yeah.
You just follow me and stay close.
So much crap. Okay, but that's everything, I think. It's a pretty nice shield, but it is just a light shield, which makes it light. Okay, let's look in the lesser magic bag. Oh. Okay. King of night vision, king of insight.
Heard you had some trouble back in Neverwinter Walls. Bad enough to make you flee to Old Owl Well.
There are troubles within and without Neverwinter's walls. Both must be faced.
It's just that I thought paladins were loyal to a fault, but had a hard time believing Neverwinter was right all the time, did you? It surprised me, because I thought paladins were supposed to be devoted to a cause, to a nation, to its people, no matter where it leads, or what your king commands.
My problems are my own, not Neverwinter's. Or yours.
Of course not. A virtuous man like you probably wouldn't dream of lying to yourself. It's just, as I see it, a man's got to be honest not only with himself, but with his comrades and his allies. And if a man loses faith and allegiance to something as big as Neverwinter, well, he might go a little too far in the other direction and lose himself to a woman next. Might even follow her into death, drop all his paladin vows right then and there. Is that something you want on your head?
Do my feelings for her really cause you that much concern?
Concern? No. I'm just worried about what kind of trouble it's going to bring if you aren't honest with yourself this time around.
Not really a problem, because Ginny do not want no Casimir. Tougher or luckier than I thought. Best training, unit strength low. Weapons best. See if I
Yes?
can't nip this in the
Is there
bud.
something you wish of me? I did not inform them of my decision to leave. I betrayed my oath to my order, to Neverwinter. I had doubts about my service to Nash. It was an impulsive decision. And the farther I traveled from Neverwinter's walls, the more I saw what harm was befalling people. Very well.
Okay, let's find Aldernon. Alanon? Oh, he's in the library. Actually, since I'm over here, I'm gonna talk to Grobnar. Doodle-doodle-doo, Grobnar.
Hello there, YouTubes. How the devil are we all? I'm very well. I thank you for asking. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at a video from this individual, let's say, called Computing Forever, otherwise known as Dave Cullen, and we're going to see him full on suck Sargon of Akkad's dick. I mean, really, seriously, he's going.
In a minute, Kevin. We'll get there in a minute. An undead ferret. All right.
Some way I can help? Oh, really? Let me see what I can... Let me just put what we have together. See if we can wake our big-bladed friend here up. Just need to put the last few finishing touches. Well, that should do it. Well, you can't expect him to suddenly start Whoa, whoa, no! Back! My, that was a surprise, I must say. I'm rather proud of it. Look how tall it is. It really has grown since it was damaged way back in Neverwinter fighting those nasty Githyanki. Well, thank you. I must say I had my doubts there for a long while. But I appreciate the support and patience. Go on, try it out.
To work the shaft, cradle the balls, and even gargle his load after he's done. Because, yeah, this is a thorough gob job. That's all I'm going to say. It's this video here called He just wanted to play video games, which in of itself is firstly wrong. He didn't just want to do that at all. He was doing political commentary and bullshit before the whole Gamergate bullshit kicked off, including 9/11 conspiracy stuff, which he doesn't like to bring up anymore, but whatever. And I just like the fact that his thumbnail here says Sargon cometh. Yes, he cometh all over your face and tits. Anyways, let's take a look at this nonsense.
Ah, welcome back. I remember you. Well, I think I do. I am so pleased you let me visit. The last time I was here, I wasn't able to examine much to the keep or the library. Quite a shame. Oh, that is unfortunate. I occasionally return to that side project when I have time, but to be honest, it's a difficult stone to crack. I mean, it's one thing to know about a place and quite another to find it. The distinction is such. Let's see. You have explored the Ilfon ruins, undergone the ritual of purification, although I seem to recall something regarding getting several vials of drag. Then there's the 3 keys: bronze, silver, and red platinum. The red platinum.
Master Aldenon, here is the map with the position marked, as you requested.
My question exactly. What is this nonsense?
Master Aldenon, you requested I had the master cartographer and several assistants cross-checking the records, and you were correct. This location cannot be scryed, and it bears the telltale arcane marks you indicated would be there.
So? Marks of what? Specifics, please, or I'll get the gardener to handle...
Master Aldenon, you did not say what this place was, only what to look for. As you have said, it is one thing to find a place, and quite another thing to know about it at all.
It seems so. What a relief. Though I could have used some dragon blood and some lich dust, and there's no way... But yes, I seem to recall asking for this. Well done, Aldenon, I say. Which I do. Good for me. Wouldn't you agree? Well, there were 2 things I felt would be essential in a haven. Secrecy, and its secrecy means a place that cannot be scryed. So I hired several diviners in my employ to scan a selected area based on shipments of reagents to a few obscure locations indicated in the court records. Quite simple, really.
Sure looks buried deep within the mountains.
Oh, well, I'm not certain it's there, but if I were to guess where one would place a labyrinth of death traps, well, mountains are always a good source of stone. Labyrinths need walls, you know, and stone walls seem to be favored.
Great. Can we go now? My ancestors...
Master Aldenon, there was more to the map, and what the diviners found. Even with the wards, the concentration of infernal magics there...
Oh, trust me, demons shouldn't pose any problems, especially for a well-trained, armed, spirited group like that. Now, if you had told me that those men at Crossroad Keep had completed that terrible ritual of shadows, then I would be concerned.
Nope, no new scrolls. Alright, Kevin.
And it's deciding to be very slow now.
So when it comes to social and political commentary and news analysis on YouTube, for the past 6 years or so, Carl Benjamin, aka Sargon of Akkad, has been the benchmark. He's been...
Does that include the time when you called him a fucking Marxist?
Metallurgy, thaumaturgy, yes,
remember that, Dave?
you've heard.
Do you
me. Building a golem, I hope, will serve thee. No, that rhyme doesn't quite work, does it? Maybe if I use alchemy...
Either way, it won't work. That construct you're messing with, Gnome, it's dangerous.
Ah, this is in safe hands, Sir Bishop. Gnome hands.
How reassuring. I'll be sure to
Oh, there is little... Any accomplished craftsman takes care to put safety wards.
That's as comforting as leaving the...
Oh, come now. It's more like leaving the village idiot in charge of a huge savage, nearly unstoppable wolf, who can only understand simple commands like kill, or stop killing, or... Oh, but really... This blade golem is such a...
So what you're saying is if you're killed, we have...
Oh, no. The words of command aren't cued to my voice. Only the words matter.
Much like one would utter when using a wand staff. Anyone can use them. It's only a matter of knowing what.
Hate to have that happen again, provided they don't already have the backup wards already in place. That's what I would do.
You really think they might?
It always pays to have a second who knows the commands, Gnome. Especially if there's any chance the creator could be killed or wiped out. Otherwise...
But what if I was harmed, unconscious, or...
They could, provided you knew... I hate you so much, Bishop.
Remember when you literally called this man a Marxist, and you've already said that you despise Marxists? So was he the benchmark then? Are you saying that communism is the benchmark, Dave? Or are you just completely forgetting all about that because, you now want to lick his bumhole? Yeah, just to push any far-right garbage you can. What a surprise. Anyways, you may notice I'm using a screen capture thing for this, which is, I've had this on my editing package for fucking ages, like about a year now, and I didn't get round to using it. Now I have. So enjoy, I guess? I don't know.
Described as a blue-collar intellectual, and he spent...
Blue-collar intellectual. Firstly, don't you have to actually work in order to be blue-collar? Sargon doesn't do that. And an intellectual. I mean, at this point, I could just splice in the clip of him going, "It's a fucking feminist system," or screaming and bashing the table because Bernie Sanders sent a tweet. Yes, they're very intellectual.
His YouTube career comprehensively dismantling left-wing narratives, political and identitarian ideologies, media bias, and more.
Yeah, I think definitely spamming gay porn and screaming "you're a white N-word" is definitely dismantling leftist ideals and identitarian something. Who cares? These buzzwords. You'll notice that with Dave. A lot of buzzwords, a lot of word salad, not a lot of substance.
Carl was one of the first prominent alternative media voices to emerge in this content genre on YouTube, and he demonstrated how the average citizen can wield social media as a powerful weapon to speak truth to power to the elitist media and political class.
Elitist media? We're saying Carl isn't elitist, because given the classist bullshit that's riddled throughout his work, I really don't think you can claim he's some anti-elite person. He thinks of himself as quite something, even though he's, a gutter snipe. Nothing more. Yeah, he's incredibly, well, he's a bootlicker of the upper class is basically what I'm suggesting. So the idea that he's anti-elite is nonsense. He just doesn't like the fact that other people have different opinions to him.
Despite being smeared numerous times by the media as far-right or alt-right, Carl clearly plants his flag in the centre as a classic.
No, just so no. I mean, he's not alt-right in the sense that he's not an ethno-nationalist, but he certainly pandered to the alt-right a lot, and defended the alt-right a lot, and parroted a lot of their fucking shit. He's a centrist. You know that he and his ilk joining UKIP were the reason that fucking Nigel Farage thinks that they've gone too far to the right in UKIP. So how the fuck has he planted his flag in the centre, Dave? Please do explain that little fucking riddle for me. You bullshitter.
British liberal. Not only
Classical
is the guy
liberal.
incredibly well-read, bringing an erudite, cerebral and rigorously methodical approach to his work,
incredibly well-read. Yeah, he's read lots of headlines from stories. If that counts as incredibly well-read, then yes, he is incredibly well-read. He has read lots of headlines. And that face there, that derp face, that's, appropriate.
But he's also operating at the bleeding edge of meme culture, being highly internet literate.
The bleeding edge of meme culture. The man who still, in some of his live streams, uses a fucking Pepe the Frog avatar thing. Still using Pepe. Years after. I mean, it was always sort of cringe, but at least it was fresh at one point. Now it's just ridiculous. He and his fanboys are still doing the Kekistan thing. He wears Kekistan shirts and things. Like, the bleeding edge of meme culture. Dave, why are you rusty tromboning this man? What are you doing, mate?
in terms of the cultural zeitgeist. As a consequence, he's achieved an impressive balance, being able to appeal to the everyman, breaking down complex issues with clarity and wit, but his approach has also allowed him to engage with high-level academics, professors, philosophers.
High-level academics, and he shows Jordan Peterson and Gad Saad. Fucking hell. This is some of the worst lackey fucking supine ball licking I've ever seen. Dave, this is embarrassing.
And other public intellectuals. But over the past 6 years, things have changed drastically in the UK and indeed globally. The masks of the authoritarians have begun to slip, and those who seek to undermine democracy and maintain power have been exposed. YouTubers and political pundits are kind of like modern-day digital pamphleteers, but so many will hear the message, so few will answer the call. As the popular maxim by Hillel the Elder states, "If I am not for myself, who is for me? And being for my own self, what am I? And if..."
And it's interesting that you're giving a pseudo-intellectual quote that doesn't really apply over images of Carl, who did exactly the same thing but with a different quote during the speech in question. So it's like a pseudo-intellectual inception. It's like someone who disappeared up their own arsehole disappearing up someone else's arsehole and then disappearing up their own arsehole again. It's anal tract inception.
Not now, when? This is often shortened to, if not me, who? If not now, when? Carl has been announced by the UK Independence Party as a candidate running in elections as a member of the European Parliament. The time for patriots to stand for their countries is upon us. Brexit has been betrayed by those who no longer represent the people, and the UK is no longer a democratic nation as...
Oh, for fuck's sake. The UK is not a democratic nation. Right, before, during and after Brexit, we have had a upper chamber of Parliament, which isn't elected, ever. No motherfucker has ever been elected to that position. And a head of state who isn't elected. We're also, because of the Brexit thing, giving what's called Henry VIII powers, which basically means that members of the British Cabinet, again, who aren't elected to become members of the British Cabinet, they are elected members of Parliament, but they're not elected to the Cabinet, have the power to change primary legislation at the stroke of a pen, without consulting Parliament, the people, or anything.
D8
so the idea
6,
that
D6
this thing, just because you aren't getting exactly the fucking Brexit you want, or things aren't going exactly as you want them to, means we're not democratic, is ridiculous. Also, I find it quite interesting that he says patriots have to stand up. Dave, you're not from here, mate. You're an Irishman telling Brits how to be patriotic about being British. That's a little bit ridiculous. Now, I'm a man of Irish extraction myself. My father was from Kilkenny, but so I'm not. This is not anti-Irish bigotry or anything. I'm just saying, geographically, you're not from this nation, so the idea that you can tell us how to be patriotic is a bit silly, really. It's a little bit silly. So
How can I help?
Yeah, but I don't hear you complaining, by the way, that we should have constitutional reform, so that we have an elected House of Lords, or an elected upper chamber, or an elected head of state. I don't hear any of that from you. But apparently this is the thing that's going to make us undemocratic. Suck my balls. Also, by the way, you say they don't represent the people. The British Parliament was elected after the referendum, so they have a more recent democratic mandate. Just saying.
As a result, as eternal vigilance remains the price of freedom, standing by and doing nothing is simply not an option. And Sargon deserves enormous credit for taking the huge step to enter politics, as he refuses to stand by and do nothing. He has a global platform and a huge following in the UK, so there's no reason why he can't run a...
Well, no. That's right. He has a significant... Well, actually, is it significant, really? No. Like, PewDiePie, you could say, has a significant global following. Sargon has, about roughly 1 million subscribers or something. Which, I'm not having a dig, that's a successful channel, that's fine. The point being that, in world terms, there are 7.1 billion people. Like, that's not a significant global following. And in terms of him having a massive following in Britain, I think the fucking pathetic crowds he's gotten in the last couple of days in his hometown of Swindon, or at least we think it's his hometown. UKIP fucking Swindon seem to think he's from there. Apparently he lied to them about his actual address. Anyways, or his actual, where he lives. Yes, the ridiculously small crowds he got in Swindon and now Bristol today, I believe, show that he doesn't have a particularly significant following in Britain.
Yes.
There are a few, like, Kekistan fucking wannabe edgy fucking teen dickheads who might like him, but in terms of actually, like, a committed following, no. No. And also, you've got to bear in mind, he has probably, some followers in big places like London, Birmingham, Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester, Leeds, none of which you'll notice are in the region he's standing for. He's standing in the southwest of England, which doesn't really have massive cities particularly in it, and doesn't have a particularly massive population. So I'm guessing his following in that region is not enormous. Not that it'll matter, because UKIP aren't going to get enough votes for him to be elected anyway, but the point is, he doesn't have a massively significant following, actually.
Successful MEP election campaign. Since his announcement as a candidate,
No, there is a reason why he won't be have a successful MEP campaign, because he's second on the ticket for UKIP, and UKIP currently are polling at about 4 or 5% in most of the polls, which means they're not going to get one fucking seat, let alone two. Yeah.
Also, Carl's
Dave,
a douche.
I've given you this advice before. Actually do some fucking research. Actually do some research. Find out how these things work, what the actual machinations of it all are. Then maybe you can have some informed opinions rather than just spouting any old shite you like.
Media have come after Carl like never before, dredging up a 3-year-old tweet he sent to Jess Phillips. You know the one.
Oh, hang on, I shouldn't pause there, right?
I wouldn't even tweet. Now, I personally think
Dave,
that this was
Dave, why did you say I wouldn't even tweet? Because that's not really the problem, is it? It's the I wouldn't even rape you tweet. Very dishonest. Especially when you showed it on the screen. That's ridiculous. Anyway, it's not just a 3-year-old tweet, is it? Because he hasn't apologised for that tweet, or shown any contrition, or even said that it was a silly thing to have done. He's fully standing behind it. So the fact that it happened 3 years ago is irrelevant, because he's not a changed man since then. Like, the whole point of it happened ages ago is that you're now a different person.
22, 17, 12, 78 plus 66 plus 2.
And of course, he sent that exact same tweet to Dr. Christy Winters only, a week ago now? So,
24, 19,
you're full of shit.
9. 27, 12, 7.
silly and unnecessary thing to say, as such a tweet was always going to be overblown by the media, and it handed the left a stick to beat him with. Of course, it's not a rape threat. It's satire. It's edgy, offensive humor. It was meant to be offensive.
What is it satirising?
I personally think
Dave, I'll put it to you. I'll put this to anyone. What is it satirising? You can't just say, it's satire. What is that tweet satirising? What position is that a satire of? Who is he satirising by that? He isn't. It's not fucking satire. He is using the fact that Jess Phillips was a victim of sexual assault, and not just reminding her about that, but goading her about that. It's not edgy humour, it's disgusting mental abuse. Or at least attempted mental abuse. I think Jess Phillips is a stronger person than Carl ever fucking thought was the case. He thought he could bully her into shutting up, or into changing her tact on something. And she basically said, nah, fuck you, mate, and carried on. As she should.
Weird and dumb thing to say, and I don't think it was particularly funny, but it wasn't a threat of rape. As you can see,
also, this is what these motherfuckers do. They try and twist it, right? Very few,
Yes.
and I'm not saying none, but very few people who are offended by this said it was a rape threat. When we say it's a rape tweet, we're not saying it's a rape threat tweet. Because you'll notice the word threat isn't in there, okay? It's a rape tweet. It's a tweet about
Something
rape.
you want?
Because it's weird and creepy to even bring that up, especially to someone you don't know. Someone who has no prior knowledge of you, won't necessarily understand that, at least in theory, you're claiming it's satire. It isn't, but let's just go with that for a second. If it's satire, this person doesn't know you. Why would you expect they would understand it was satire? Why would you expect the general public would understand it's satire, given that no one knows who the fuck you are? Even though he has X number of fucking subscribers on YouTube, the general public don't know who this cunt is, okay? They have no idea who he is. He doesn't have, like, a big fuck-off platform. Most of his fans are in America.
Mm-hmm.
So people who follow Jess Phillips on Twitter aren't going to know who he is. Even if they're in America, most people won't know who the fuck this guy is. It's weird. Who goes into a room and says, "Hello, my name is Jeff, and I'm not a rapist. I'm not going to rape you. I'm not going to murder you. I'm not going to burn down your house. I'm not going to rob everything you own." You don't say that, do you? It's fucking weird. And, of course, you know why it's really offensive. It's the word even. Because to say, "I wouldn't even rape you," suggests that you in some way think that rape would be like a compliment to the person. Like, you're not even worth raping. But someone else might be worth raping. And as I pointed out to Dr. Christy Winters the other day, he sent that tweet to a lot of women, including, of course, Christy herself. But he hasn't sent it to me. Which, A, puts paid to his bullshit about it being an egalitarian thing. And B, means, does that mean Carl does want to rape me? I don't know, because he hasn't sent that to me, so I can only assume that he must want to. Which is worrying, but luckily he's really not going to be able to overpower me, because, you know, he doesn't look like he has the strength to even get to his events on time, it seems. Half an hour late to his event in his own hometown.
Cool.
In theory, his hometown. So, yeah. What a lazy prick he is. He even had to pull his power move on his own supporters. Gobshite.
Full context for that Twitter exchange.
I'm going to use a write-up from Grimmachu, a Twitter user who saw this happening at the time, and this is his opinion. The incident in context. Phillips was, again, engaged in a round of social media attention-grabbing and attempting to push more internet censorship off the back of what anyone with any internet...
Attention-grabbing? She's a member of Parliament who's putting out, like, messages. She's actually like a servant of the people, right? She was putting out stuff on social media about her activities in Parliament. Call it attention-grabbing if you want, or you could say she's a politician trying to, like, get an issue out there into the public discourse. Whatever.
Experience at all will know are spurious online threats and trolling, not to be taken seriously. Phillips, however, selectively
it's a lot easier for you to say it's spurious online trolling when you're not the victim of sexual assault, and you're not having hundreds, Carl, of other people's fans attack you with said rape tweets. It's very easy for you to say it's spurious, not to be taken seriously, because you don't take it seriously. Just because you are not affected by an issue does not mean that that issue doesn't exist. I have tried to explain this to you before, Carl, and I know this is technically the words of other people, but you're using this as your defence, so you're taking these words on.
Such spurious threats seriously, then uses them to back her censorship agenda as many have. Further, she likes to pretend...
Carl, I brought this up to you at the time. Censorship, whatever, right?
Yes.
I said to you, if you're against her push for internet censorship, as you call it, don't give her the exact weapon she needs to go to her colleagues in Parliament and say, "Look, this is what the scumbags on the internet are doing, we need to do something about this." And you gave her everything she could possibly have wanted in terms of ammunition to use against you. Now, I'm still sure she'd rather you hadn't fucking sent her those disgusting messages.
You have returned, and you have been wounded. Yes, my Lord Garius. The harbour man, the one who disrupted our ritual at Crossroad Keep. She hounds us still. Let me gather my strength, and then
My only concern is a ritual of purification, as it should have been yours. Are the statues intact? Can the ritual still be performed?
The harbour man was able to finish a portion of the...
By itself?
When I arrived at the ruins of Ilfarn, another had come before, and I do not know who it was.
I see. So it seems there is another player in this war. It is no matter. Once we slay the harbormen, then the future of our king is assured.
My Lord Garius, the Harborman is stronger than before. She cannot destroy us, yes, but in battle, she may be a match for any of us.
Indeed.
Indeed.
She may be able to challenge one of us, but not all of us, I think.
Okay, first things first. Let's look in this bed. No, let's go ahead and just give the bishop.
Yeah.
Except for the restless soul.
And that your fans hadn't done
Galileo.
Again, they're hundreds. But the point being is that in terms of the politics of this, you played this bet as badly as you could have done, you fucking idiot, to the point where it's biting you in the arse years later. Amazing. And of course you allied with Tommy Robinson, who's done exactly the same, by harassing the shit out of other people. Which means that, you know, further censorship possibly of him is coming down the track at different points, and has done since. You're not helping your own fucking case with this nonsense. I told you that at the time, I've been telling you ever since. And I'll continue to tell you into the future. You're doing your enemy's work for them. If you think this totalitarian censorship of the internet thing is like happening, you're allowing it to happen. You're speeding the process up by being a prick.
Oh.
And that this is a misogyny problem, even though men get more online abuse. We'll tackle that later. The incident
Didn't
in
tackle
question...
that in this video, but I've actually seen studies to the contrary where women get significantly more as a proportion, as a per capita, if that makes sense. It's just that fewer women take part in things like YouTube, partly because of the abuse they receive from the likes of Carl, it would seem. But yeah, in terms of per person, women actually tend to get significantly worse abuse. Anyways.
Then unfolds like this. Phillips is pushing more online censorship and control on the basis of trolling and spurious online threats she gets, though she emphasises women. This is hyperbole and is clearly absurd to any internet veterans who know that these threats are about as genuine as a 3-bob note. Sargon and others take issue with...
Explain their 3-bob note. A bob is like an old term for a pound, so a £3 note, of which there was never any denomination in British currency. So the idea is that it's not to be taken literally, because it, or not to be accepted on face, because it's clearly false. That's the point being made there. And secondly, you say to internet veterans, which, I mean, how far up your own fundament do you and your fans want to go? Internet veterans? Oh, I'm such an internet veteran. Fuck off, right?
See.
Anyway, politicians aren't internet veterans, so trying to get them on board by using internet veteran... Oh, Jesus Christ, that's so fucking pretentious. Anyway, internet veteran tactics against them when they don't understand that. But yet, Carl, I've tried to explain this to you so many times. These are the people who have the actual power. You might think you have some power because you've got some fucking... just fucking pricks. Teenagers and young people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, still doing Keck years later and all these fucking weirdos, right? They might really like you, but that's not actually power, right? People like Jess Phillips, right, people in Parliament, have the power to legislate to put either you, I, anyone, potentially in prison for internet activities, right? So, giving them the tools with which to do so by giving them ridiculously good examples like, I wouldn't even rape you, of the kind of hideous bullshit is counterproductive in the extreme, because then if these people are the evil, censorious fucking control freaks that you think they are, you're giving them every excuse to be so, and you're giving them public fucking sympathy to be so.
internet censorship. Sargon crafts a trapped message that he wouldn't rape her as an anti-threat.
Notice there the word even. Again, these people can't accurately just quote the tweet. They're so fucking dishonest. He wouldn't even rape her. Even. Suggests, like I said earlier, right? Suggests that maybe he would even rape some people. Some people would be worth raping. Including me, it would seem. Which, I mean, I can't say I'm flattered, Carl. Please leave me alone, you creepy motherfucker.
In order to demonstrate her dishonesty, that she
I
will
love
take
that,
the opposite.
that this person, and indeed by extension therefore Carl, because he's reading this, says that Jess Phillips is dishonest, even though literally in the fucking same sentence they dishonestly misquote the tweet. Trustworthy.
Of a threat and turn it into a threat, that she will attempt to use that to further her agenda, and that a largely complicit media will go along with it, despite it obviously being the opposite of a threat. Phillips
Well, no, it's not
willingly
the
hurls
opposite
herself
of a
into the
threat,
trap.
is it? It's not the opposite of a threat. That would be... I mean, that would be just not fucking saying anything, really. Like, it's... Oh, God. You're clearly trying to goad a person who you know is a victim of sexual assault by bringing that up to them. There was no need to send it in the first place. It was so obviously just creepy and shitty. It was a disgusting thing to have done. And you know, the thing is, Carl, I'm pretty damn sure you know it is, but you're just such a pig-headed twat that you're not going to fucking admit it.
And it goes off exactly as intended. She's exposed as a blowhard, a liar and a hypocrite, as are many media organisations that go along with it.
It feels odd having to say...
Considering you've spent the last few years lying about all of this, Carl, and indeed you lied in the press conference where you said she laughed about male suicide, which she didn't. Conclusively she didn't. She was laughing about the concept that men's issues don't get discussed in the main chamber of the Commons. That's it. Which again, I've proved they do get mentioned in that, in the episode of the Centre of Manosphere about ICMI 2016, I think, where I showed Hansard records. Hansard being the organisation which chronicles what gets said in Parliament. So it's like minutes of parliamentary debates and stuff. And I showed loads and loads of examples, including of then Prime Minister David Cameron having talked about male suicide rates in the main chamber of the House of Commons. So it is a laughable thing. So the fact that she laughed at the idea of it not being discussed there is fair enough, because clearly it does get discussed there. It's laughable to suggest otherwise.
Say this, but a non-threat is not a threat. It's such a weird thing to say, but given that the media is trying desperately to derail Sargon's candidacy with this nonsense, it has to be said.
And what do you think about this 3-year-old tweet that was brought up this week and used to batter you with? What do you think?
Again, it's not a 3-year-old tweet if you're continuing to do it and you've not apologised for it. I mean, it's literally 3 in the sense that it was sent 3 years ago, but the fact that it was sent 3 years ago is irrelevant. Time by itself does not absolve. Time and change of character and trying to make recompense for previous disgusting behaviour, that absolves. That will, clean the slate, so to speak. But Carl hasn't done that.
I wish I'd sent it yesterday.
And you indeed did. You sent it to Christy Winters a few days ago, which presumably was around the time this interview was held.
Never apologise. Never apologise. As soon as you apologise to them for anything...
So never apologise. So if you murder someone, don't apologise. No, it's fine. It's fine. If you slaughter a whole village, don't apologise. Don't apologise for anything. There's no caveat to that. Don't apologise for anything. If you get caught wanking outside of school, don't apologise. Don't apologise. It's fine.
Because they don't care. They don't care about a 3-year-old tweet. This is a political attack that they think will be able...
Yes, they do. Carl, we cared when you sent it. It was a big reaction, if you remember. And we've brought it up ever since. We do care. We care that you're a disgusting piece of shit and you're not fit to hold office. We do care about that, yes.
...to stop my candidacy, and they failed to understand that I didn't work for Donald Trump. I don't see why
He genuinely thinks he's like Trump. I mean, he is a vile, disgusting misogynist, yes. And has done all kinds of victim blaming and sort of weird rape advocacy at certain points. But yeah, Donald Trump was like a rich, powerful dude anyway. Being president has actually probably made him slightly less able to make money, bizarrely. Whereas you're not, Carl. You're a twat on the internet, and you're not getting elected.
And I'm not going to apologise, so they may as well get over it sooner rather than later. I mean, you're a woman, are you horribly offended by it?
Look, man, I would appreciate...
Firstly, this woman is a fucking dick. Secondly,
follow me.
The fact that one woman doesn't care,
Yes.
what does that mean, Carl? Lots of women do care. Jess Phillips cared, didn't she? She really wasn't very, fond of your tweet. And that's just as representative, because Jess Phillips is one woman too. So does that mean it definitely does matter, and you definitely should apologise, because that one woman didn't like it? Fuck off.
Jay, if you didn't rape me.
Consider it done.
Shortly after
people are
Sargon, Count
garbage.
Dankula, and Paul Joseph Watson joined UKIP last year,
Yeah.
the BBC reported on the following. Online trolls may be barred from being MP or councillor, as if someone has the right to deny someone their civic right to at least attempt to run for office. No one is entitled to get elected to public office, but they're at least permitted the chance to try. Who the hell is going
Actually,
to...
you support Donald Trump, and Donald Trump and the GOP more widely have instituted such laws in America. Ex-convicts can't even vote, let alone run for office. In certain states. I mean, that's not necessarily a full federal thing, but Trump has certainly come out and supported that kind of nonsense in the past. So you can fuck off.
Determine who qualifies as an online troll or not. By whose definition? Online trolls who intimidate...
There would be legislation introduced, you fucking absolute cockhead. Look, no one can answer that question because this is a hypothetical thing which hasn't actually come into law yet. So there's not a definition yet.
Something
Whose
you
definition? Well, whatever the definition is in the legislation. So the 650 members of Parliament and the House of Lords who would, refine the article and all the rest of it. Those would be the people whose definition would count. Which, by the way, reinforces the point I made earlier about Carl. Don't antagonise them because they have the power to make you into a troll and take away your rights. So don't give them the ammunition, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Election candidates or
Something you
campaigners
want?
could be barred from public office under government proposals being considered. Extreme intimidation cases are already punishable with a jail sentence. A 2017 parliamentary report highlighted the significant factor of social media abuse of candidates in that year's general election. Constitution Minister Chloe Smith said intimidation was putting talented people off standing for election. She added that the measures being consulted on would protect voters, candidates and campaigners so they can make their choice at the ballot box or stand for public service without fear of being victims of misinformation or abuse. Now, I can't be sure if Sargon, Dankula and Watson joining you...
Fair enough, I suppose. I mean, yeah, it probably is putting talented people off, isn't it? Especially when, if they are talented people, they can probably earn quite a lot of money outside of public life, in private industry or whatever. So why would they go through all the horrific personal invasion
Something
and
you want?
of privacy by the media, and of course, then on top of that, horrible trolling and abuse and threats online, to earn potentially much less than they would earn in the private sector anyway. It probably is putting a lot of people off. Just saying. Not that he hasn't even made a point against that, I'm just making a more general statement.
UKIP is connected to this, but I wouldn't be surprised. The timing is certainly interesting.
Well, so just spreading more weird conspiracy theory bullshit there. I'm sure it's got absolutely nothing to do with Dankula, Carl, and Paul Joseph Watson joining UKIP, because I'm sure the government don't give two fucks that 3 internet wankers have joined a political party. I'm really certain that has got nothing to do with it. It's probably more to do with the fact that, in 2016 we had a member of Parliament murdered, and that we've had threats from various people, including people that probably watch the 3 individuals, Dankula, PJW and Carl. towards members of parliament and stuff. We've had MPs' offices graffitied and windows stoned and things. So yeah, that's probably much more to do with it than 3 random internet wankers joining a political party. A dying political party.
And I should also point out that popular Brazilian political YouTubers have been very successful in creating their own large online platforms and leveraging them to enter politics in Brazil, as BuzzFeed reported on this last year. On the subject of Brazil, during Jair Bolsonaro's presidential campaign, the media...
Well done, Bishop.
It's
You're a
interesting
twat.
that you bring up a BuzzFeed article, considering you think that the mainstream media is like completely untrustworthy. So you can trust on that.
Also dredged up some old offensive statements he'd made, one of which included something he'd said to a female politician. "I wouldn't rape you because you're not worthy of it." Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty weird and messed up thing to say, and I'm not gonna defend...
So why did you and Carl both support this motherfucking presidency in Brazil? Because you're both fucked up.
End it. But despite saying this, and despite all the hysteria the media attempted to drum up, it didn't stop Bolsonaro from becoming president of Brazil. In a UKIP...
No, it didn't, but again, Carl is not on even level Bolsonaro or Trump. Those people have national platforms who are known and were running for major parties.
And looks
Carl
like
has
we
none
have
of those
one
things.
left.
And is just an
I'll
idiot.
take care of this.
No, Bolsonaro and Trump are both
That
idiots
is
as well,
within
but
my
at least they were
power.
sort of rich idiots. Which goes a long way to explaining how fucked up capitalism is, that being rich is an adequate replacement for capitalist democracy, for intelligence, acumen.
press conference, Carl flatly refused to apologize for what he said, and rightly
Looks
so.
like we have company.
Why apologize?
That is
Firstly,
within
the
my-
left...
Rightly so. So you think it was a fucked up thing to say, but... Well, no, you said that about Bolsonaro, didn't you, sorry. But you said it was like not a funny thing and a silly, unnecessary thing to say, but you're not going to say it. Okay.
always takes apologies
Dickheads.
as blood in the water. Apologies are used as an admission of guilt and an attempt to further blackball
He is
an
guilty.
individual.
He is guilty. He absolutely fucking is. And you're going about, oh, it's blackball. No, mainstream politicians have apologised for stuff like this. Stuff there. You're full of shit there, Dave. Cal Surprise.
There is no empathy, compassion, or forgiveness amongst the leftist media. There's no act of contrition
What
that you
is
can
the
offer
leftist media,
Well, of course
Dave?
I can do that.
What the fuck are you talking about?
that will satisfy the baying mob. Secondly, it's in the past. And at the time, it wasn't even deemed...
The leftist mob, the leftist media. You know the Sun called Dankula a thug and Carl a sicko? Is the Sun the leftist media? You know the fucking Daily Mail had a front page with Dankula calling him a Nazi. Again, is the Daily Mail leftist media? Fuck off.
sufficiently offensive by Twitter's Trust and Safety Council to warrant the closure of Carl's Twitter account, although his account was later...
Well, I'm pretty sure actually the Trust and Safety Council didn't exist at the time this tweet was sent. I think that was established afterwards. But just because it didn't break the terms of service. Well, it clearly did break the terms of service, so that Twitter's terms of service are implemented about as evenly as something that isn't very even. I can't think of an example. Corrugated iron. That's not very even.
later closed for a different transgression. The point is, apologies don't work. We've seen this time and time again with celebrities and public figures who are deemed to be guilty of saying politically incorrect things.
What are you talking about? Give some examples, because I've known loads and loads of examples where people have apologised for like racist or insensitive remarks and have remained in position.
I think I can do that.
How many times has Boris Johnson had to apologise for shit? And he's still there. And
Let's
unfortunately he's
take
still
them down.
one of the favourites, albeit that I still don't think he will become Prime Minister. But he's certainly one of the bookmakers' favourites to become the next Prime Minister.
You
So
just
clearly you're
follow
talking
me.
shit, mate.
And stay
Anyway.
close.
Also, this thing about apologies don't work, you should never apologise. You know how childish you are? Do you know how fucking childish you sound? Oh, you should never apologise, because that's the adult approach to things. Fucking hell.
Because you guys are severely mismanaging the country? I mean, really, I'm just here to kind of mock the legacy media.
The media doesn't manage the country, and you made a fool of yourself, Carl. You got awful press for UKIP, and UKIP have gone down in the polls, even though you had loads of press coverage. People don't like you.
Your numbers are going down every day, and our numbers are going up, right? Like, combined, the YouTube is getting like...
No, Carl, again, you got like 20 people in Bristol. Bristol's not the biggest place in the world, but it's a significant city, and you got 20 people to turn up. Your numbers are going nowhere in the real world. Online, yeah, they're doing okay. And of course, you forget that newspapers' circulation in terms of their actual physical papers are going down, but their internet numbers are going through the roof. Just saying.
Yes.
Oh, come on, play.
30 million views a month, you're dying. And it's because, do you know what your rating is on Trustpilot, business review site? 84%.
Yeah, Carl's going to give some numbers now from, I don't even know what site, I don't really care what site. It's like an internet survey thing, so lots of people who don't like the mainstream media went and like brigaded this thing, it would appear, and gave 1-star reviews for all of these news organisations. And the BBC in every survey is still one of the most trusted worldwide news sources. Whether you think that's a good thing or not, it's just a fact, Carl. But that's using actual, scientific methodology. Using your methodology of just choosing a site which confirms my bias. .com. Someone should definitely fucking get onto that one. Yeah, just choosing a site that doesn't disagree with you. That's not really scientific, is it, Carl?
Star for the BBC, 59% 1-star for ITV, and 72% 1-star for Channel 4. I don't care what you say. You are just smear merchants. Not one of you can tell me what I believe. Not one.
Smear merchants. Carl, you said that Lacey Green was to blame for the murders of Elliot Rogers. You can talk about fucking smear, you cockhead. And of course, it's interesting that Dave would play this clip of Carl.
Well, of course I can do that.
When Dave tried to smear Carl as a Marxist, which I mentioned at the start, which is always fun to remind Dave of because he doesn't like to remember that. All the time he got really, really confused and angry at a bathroom sign in Los Angeles.
Troll kissing orc.
One of you knows, but all of the public know because they can go to my YouTube channel, Saga Macad, and just watch for themselves. I've been doing this for 5 years. I have.
Also, it's interesting that he said, you can't tell me what I believe. Well, I mean, Carl, you did literally say in the video you did after, or the live stream you did after this, you called all the press commies, including the Daily Mail, the Sun, Sky News. They're all communists, apparently, according to Carl. But everyone else is a smear merchant who likes to tell other people what they believe. Wowza.
All right, crew. Let's take them down.
Million subscribers. Just go and have a look. I'm not answering your questions. I'm not apologising for anything.
Firstly, your million subscribers are mostly in America, so who cares? Secondly, in terms of this election, you understand. And secondly, I'm not answering.
Fuck is wrong with you?
You're at a press conference, you prick. I'm not answering your question. And you did responded to the questions. I wouldn't say you answered them necessarily, but you certainly did respond to those questions later anyway. So when you say I'm not answering your questions, you sort of did. You sort of did, didn't you, Carl? Yeah. You have the consistency of porridge.
You dirty, dirty smear merchants, get back!
You are the dirtiest smear merchant ever.
Victoria McDonald from Channel News. Last night, live on stage, you were when asked about Joe's handling of the rape tweet. You said,
Sorry, what tweet?
It's interesting that Carl loves the fact that he's sort of looming over these people because he's on a stage. Because Carl's such a short little fuck. I believe the phrase they use is manlet. Such a manlet that even most women he doesn't actually, he's not taller than. so he doesn't physically sort of dominate in that respect at all. So he quite likes the fact that he can just sort of talk down to them. He's got the stage, you know. He's really, really insecure, pathetic human being.
Question about rape of the label.
There was no question about rape. That's a lie, and I'm not going to accept that.
I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that. Even though she didn't say it was a threat, but he literally says that there was no threat in it, which is a non sequitur.
No, I'm not accepting that frame. I said I wouldn't even. That's not a threat. It's not promise.
And again, they don't like quoting the full thing, do they? I wouldn't even. Yeah, it's I wouldn't even rape you, Carl, isn't it? And you know that's the disgusting element of it all. So you can't even bring yourself to say it.
Actually just offensive. And I'm not going to be apologising for my crimes against political correctness. I hate political correctness.
No, it's not a crime against political correctness. It's just a crime against basic human decency, Carl. That you shouldn't bring up rape and sexual assault to a sexual assault survivor. That's a disgusting thing to do. In that callous way. Like, if you're having a general discussion about it, that's one thing. But you weren't. And you weren't engaged in satire either. Not that that would actually excuse it, but you weren't. I'm not apologising for my crimes against political correctness. I hate political correctness, you pompous cunt.
I'm not answering your question.
To ask Carl Benjamin,
Go ahead.
why you think it is acceptable to say on Twitter that you wouldn't even rape a female Labour
Because I don't think there are any difference in that in the way that you treat.
Sorry.
Well, that's clearly not true, because as I've pointed out, and it was, I believe, Chris Yosty that first made this point, you've not sent that tweet to any man. You sent it to several women, but certainly not to any men. And me, as one of your major antagonisers, or whatever you want to call it, one of your opponents, you've not sent that to me. So clearly you do think this is a cudgel you can use to beat women with, because you don't actually believe in equality, as you're disingenuously claiming here. You piece of shit.
Unlike the establishment, unlike our judges, who literally say if you were a man, I would send you to jail, I think we should treat women the same as men. And that means if a woman is being a giant bitch and...
That's not true, Carl, actually. You've literally argued in favour of patriarchy. And secondly, again, I can only reiterate a point I made in the happy hour we did about this whole schmozzle, that this is some of the biggest big brain stuff you'll ever fucking see. Carl, in order to try and refute the idea that he's a sexist, misogynist piece of garbage, he's just going to call her a bitch. That is some truly fucking 4D, fucking moon dew, chess, backgammon, fucking 9/11 truth, Bush did 9/11, backgammon, water polo. It's a weird series of words. Basically the point is, he's big-brained. He's so big. That's the thing, his brain is so enormous, it's clearly affecting the noises that are coming out from his jaw movements. So that's clearly why he's talking shit. Anyway.
Laughing at male suicide, I'm going to be a giant dick back to her.
She didn't laugh at male suicide, I've already explained earlier why, and Jess Phillips, hopefully, she certainly said she's going to be, he will be hearing from her lawyers on that, and yeah, hopefully she sues him to Kingdom Come. And because she's in Britain, unlike Akila Hughes who's in America, Carl can't just dodge that one. Carl will actually be given a court summons.
Oh, thank you, Jay.
Any questions? Yes!
Sargon.
Also, interesting there, any questions? I thought you said you weren't answering questions. Any questions? You weren't answering questions, were you, Carl?
Carl, yes, I've been using the names interchangeably in this video. He's absolutely correct to behave this way. The media are
Like a
filled
fucking
with...
petulant child. Like a petulant child screaming words like bitch and dick on the stage for the launch of an election campaign. Yeah, he's a real serious politician. Fucking hell.
Activists, not journalists. Partisan hacks, not reporters. I thought the media attempted
Dave,
to...
do you own a mirror? Do you know who you are?
Turn this event into something chaotic by constantly bringing up the tweet over and over again, thus trying to put Carl on the back foot, but he responded...
He is on the back foot. He's so desperately on the back foot that he literally did a live stream where he started off with, oh, I can always come back here. Because that's his safe space. He always wanted a kind of internet bro-flake safe space. That's all he's ever been good at. It's the only place he's ever been comfortable. I mean, look, he couldn't even bother to do his fucking tile. And this hipster hobo motherfucker turns up in a plaid shirt that looks like it's about to burst with a big fat. I mean, nothing wrong with being fat. I'm not the slimmest guy in the world either. Fitting clothes. Come on now. Maybe you fitted into this shirt at one point. You don't anymore, mate.
It correctly, diffusing their outrage by refusing to apologize and maintaining a position of strength. The flat
There's no position of strength here, you fucking idiot. And it doesn't diffuse them. Have you seen in the days since that interview, or since that press conference, and indeed the days between the press conference and this video being made, so there's no excuse for you, you prick, the media have still continued to produce articles calling them out on this. So it's diffused nothing. He's going to be hounded about this, and Gerard Batten is going to be hounded about this, and Dankula is going to be hounded about this throughout the entirety of the fucking process.
Refusal to capitulate and compromise. This is a position voters will respect. Sargon knows the mainstream media better than they know themselves.
That's clearly not true, by the way. But the British public don't respect that. Look at the polling. They had already dropped enormously, 6 or 7%, and since this nonsense have gone down to 4 and 5% in the polls, depending. There's obviously a bit of variation, as there always is, but generally speaking, it's around that level. So even though they had huge amounts of publicity, that publicity was bad. They have literally broken the concept of there's no such thing as bad publicity, because they've had nothing but bad publicity. And it's affected their polling numbers. The British public do not respect what Carl has done, or what Dankula has done, or what Batten has done.
He knows their game. He has forensically dissected their narratives and strategies over the years.
He's read newspaper headlines and gotten angry. He's pretended to read some of the summary of academic papers. He's occasionally, I will give him this, he has occasionally read the sub-headline of newspaper articles as well. Or maybe even the first paragraph when he's feeling really up for it, but forensically dissected. Oh, you're so... Jesus Christ. I mean, you have to kind of admire. I mean, blowjob skills like this, Dave, are rare things. Well done, mate. You are really, really working that shaft, mate.
Had ample time to prepare for these tactics and knows what the public will respond to. Again, I think the tweet was a stupid thing to say and not particularly funny, but once...
Don't fucking weasel out of it, you little gobshite, right? It was a silly thing to say, I don't agree with it, but he shouldn't apologise for this obviously fucking disgusting thing. Take it on, you ballless wonder. Take it on. You fucking know. You know what he said was disgusting, and you're happy to apologise for it. So no, you don't get to fucking weasel out of it.
Well done, Chandra.
It's a bit of a silly thing to say. Fucking spineless goo.
Stupid, irresponsible tweet from years ago does not define a person's...
No, it doesn't define it, but in order for its longevity, not longevity, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Basically, the fact that it happened a long time ago, the only reason that could be relevant to this is A, if he'd apologised and mended his ways. The fact that it happened a long time ago matters only if they've changed as a person. They've grown past that. They're not that person anymore. If you say, like, what's he got, the American politician, I've forgotten his name, who was in the KKK and has now dedicated himself to like being an anti-racist politician. The fact that he was in the KKK years ago is relevant, the fact that it was years ago, because he's changed since then. He isn't that person anymore. That's why the fact that it happened so long ago is relevant and is a mitigating circumstance and factor there. Whereas, if he'd remained in the KKK, or at least still held those views, the fact that it was years ago he was in the KKK wouldn't matter. Do you get the point I'm making there, Dave? Right? The fact that this was 3 years ago means nothing. Because he's still doing it. He did it a week ago. And he hasn't apologised, he hasn't tried to mend his ways, he hasn't tried to, in any way, rectify the potential damage he's done to the public discourse, and to indeed to the potential mental well-being of the people who abused and harassed them. So no, the fact that it was 3 years ago is irrelevant. Stop trying again. You're a fucking weasel word about poorly worded fucking spineless, ballless piece of garbage.
Entire character, and it shouldn't determine their future. The only question that matters is, will Carl Benjamin...
Yeah, it shouldn't define their entire character, I quite agree. But the rest of his character's dreadful as well. All of the doxing, all of the covering for Nazis, his defence, his fucking weird pedo advocacy shit. Oh, there's so much wrong with Carl's personality. It's not just this one thing, Dave.
Make a good public representative.
No!
Will he be a good member?
No, he fucking won't. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, legislation in the European Parliament extends beyond just the headline. So Carl won't even know what he's voting for or against, because there's no way he's going to read anything.
Of the European Parliament. And to find that out, the public needs to hear his ideas. They need to know what he believes and what he has to say. One thing is for sure,
didn't he just
Carl
say
is not someone the media has dealt with before. A potential political candidate who behaves...
Hang on, you say, oh, they need to find out what he believes. Well, no one's actually stopping him from running, so that's one thing. And secondly, didn't he say, oh, well, you can find out what I believe by going to my YouTube channel? Because, you know, voters in the southwest of England are definitely going to go to his YouTube channel and watch his hundreds of hours of bile. They're definitely going to do that. That's fair. Fucking hell. Like, whatever. Also, they've dealt with way worse people than Carl. And way better people than Carl. Way dumber people than Carl, and way smarter people than Carl. So there's nothing special about this motherfucker that the press haven't dealt with before, Dave. Again, your gargling of his balls is, you know, you clearly know what you're doing, mate.
in an intellectually honest manner and who understands political strategy in a wider historical context and who already...
Oh, God! Oh, fucking hell. Oh. It's just embarrassing. This is such obvious, like, partisan hackery propaganda. Why? This is shameless stuff.
Reddy has a large following. He even has a broader appeal in the UK than fellow political dissident Tommy Robinson, and that will...
Dissident?
Well, broader in the sense that there are less extreme people, but not as many people in general. Tommy Robinson is sort of a known figure in Britain. He's not big or anything, but he's a known figure. Carl isn't. Like, I'm not even defending Tommy there. It's just a fact, right? He's more well known. So when you say broader appeal, I suppose so, but...
will make him a thorn in the establishment's side in the future. It appears that Carl and indeed Dankula are now on a media radar.
If Carl ever had the wherewithal, the get up and go to actually stick to anything, that might be vaguely true. But he doesn't. We've seen with like the liberalists.
Just wait right there. And don't right there.
Devotion to
and don't move a muscle until I say.
Oh, sorry, no, he's up. Right. The fact that he wanted to continue doing Gamergate was the only thing he's ever stuck at. But there's the meme of him as the Grim Reaper killing things up, including the liberals, who he left
Where's
very
my
soon
file?
after starting it in order to join you. He has no stick-to-itiveness, if that's a thing.
Yes.
A word
Yes.
Heard used before.
Something you want?
A very Americanized word, it would appear. I'm just rambling now. This is nonsense. Anyway, the point is, Carl doesn't stick to anything. Carl doesn't actually fucking like carry on the process. He gets bored, he moves on to something else because he's got the mind of a child. Let's get through this bollocks, shall we?
That they haven't been on previously, and they will be under an ever-increasing level of scrutiny in the future. So, the man who just wanted to play video games is now becoming a household name.
He's not becoming a household name. Oh, you're so full of shit. And he didn't just want to play video games. That's such a lie. He was doing political content before the whole Gamergate thing started. Like I say, including 9/11 conspiracy theory, bullshit.
and possibly a legitimate political candidate who might help to re-energize UKIP and assist in getting Brexit back on track.
Just no.
He's definitely up against it. This is a massive challenge, and he may not be successful this time.
Yeah,
But
he
make
won't
no
be.
mistake, the only reason they're coming after him is to smear his character because they cannot defeat his arguments. The best way...
You mean like when he calls Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a communist, even though she clearly isn't a communist? Just like you called him a communist, even though he isn't a communist. Very, very clearly isn't a communist. Interesting
way
who
to
these people,
understand
they can
who
see
Carl
smearing
is
sometimes.
and what he's all about is simply to listen to what he says and follow his work. That is ultimately the...
Yes, exactly. Exactly, Dave. You should listen to what he says, like the white N-words, or I wouldn't even rape you, or fuck you, Bernie, fuck you, punchy table, or Lacey, you know that person in America that murdered loads of people that isn't you? Yeah, well, you're to blame for it anyway, because WOMs. Yeah, listen to what he has to say. Carl has told the world exactly who he is. We should listen to that. He's garbage.
the only thing that matters. The lens by which the media wishes for you to see someone is exactly just a lens. It's not reality. Imagine your entire future, your reputation or career, being undermined or forever tarnished and compromised because you're being endlessly judged and scrutinized by some dumb, offensive comment you made on Twitter years ago. Something you're not allowed to...
The fact that it was... Well, the fact, if it's dumb and offensive, you should probably apologise for that, shouldn't I? Dave, you fucking prick. Also, the fact that it was 3 years ago again, I would just reiterate, irrelevant. Hasn't changed since then. In fact, he's gotten worse and has continued to use the exact same line on women ever since. So, no, Dave. The fact that it was years ago means nothing.
to forget or move on from. What a ridiculously unfair and unreasonable standard to hold a person to, and therefore, it cannot be a standard that anyone should be expected to take seriously.
Anyways, yeah, so that's that. What else to say? But Dave, computing forever, mate. Grow some balls, mate. Grow a spine and fucking stop. Just stop. I mean, that was embarrassing. Your bootlickery of Carl is really pathetic. I know you want to push this far away from Garvey as far as you can, but allowing to Sargon to come all over you is a little bit much. Yeah, Carl's garbage, and he won't get elected, so I'm really not that bothered about it in general. Although it's a shame to see him being given publicity, but it's also quite fun. I have enjoyed, I have to say, enormously enjoyed the fact that the media have torn him apart. It's been so much fun. Yeah, so I suppose just Dave and Carl, shut the fuck up, you wankers. Yeah, that'll do. I mean, I don't know how else to sum that up. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for listening. No passing around.
Afternoon on the runway. Well, Noam, what shall we talk about? Well, we can talk about the neoliberal assault on the world's population in the last generation, which you've written so brilliantly about.
What strikes me, given the last quite eventful year of my life, what really strikes me is the major disconnect between the philosophy and ideology of neoliberalism and that which I encountered when negotiating, in inverted commas negotiating, when being dictated by the great and the good of the neoliberal international financial establishment. Now, think about it. If you take the great libertarians, the great neoliberals, who castigate all tax-funded activities, and you consider the reason why I'm here today and I'm not still the Minister of Finance of Greece. Why? It's because I refuse another 100 billion smackers,
There.
dollars,
It's done.
of a
Now what?
tax-backed loan to my insolvent government, which the creditors insisted that I should take.
On the day that the female eunuch was issued in America, a person in flapping draperies rushed up to me and grabbed my hand. "Thank you," it breathed hoarsely. "Thank you so much for all you've done for us girls." I smirked and nodded and stepped backward, trying to extricate my hand from the enormous, knuckly, hairy, beringed paw that clutched it. The face staring into mine was thickly coated with a pancake makeup through which the stubble was already burning, in futile competition with a Dynel wig of immense luxuriance, and 2 pairs of false eyelashes, against the bony ribs that could be counted through its flimsy scarf dress swung a polished steel women's liberation emblem. I should have said, "You're a man. The female eunuch has done less than nothing for you. Piss off."
Let's go, adult human females. First of all, a reminder that this video is a female-only space, so if there are any men here today, get out! I mean, unless you enjoy watching the very interesting things women do on our own, in which case like, comment, subscribe. So look, it's 2019 and I think most people have heard about TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists. You know, these fanatics like Germaine Greer who call trans women it and think trans men are lost lesbian sisters. You guys do know about trans men, right? Male to female is not the only type of transgender person. There's also people who were born, well, people who were assigned. People who are always. People who identify. TERFs don't like being called TERFs. They think it's a term of disparagement, which it is. They call themselves radical feminists, radfems, or lately, gender critical. The idea is that gender, femininity, masculinity, gender roles, all that, it's all a patriarchal construct, and biological sex is the only thing that makes a person a man or a woman. In the past on this channel, I've always caricatured TERFs as being like angry, man-hating bigots whose only real tactic is accusing trans women of being creepy men. And there definitely are some people who are really like that, but I want to be fair, I want to be balanced. So, in preparation to make this video, I posted an invitation to Twitter asking people who used to be gender critical feminists to share their stories with me, and I got hundreds of responses, a lot of them from women who've had traumatic experiences with men, and who at one time found comfort in a rigid view of gender where women and men are completely separate species, where women are safe and men are dangerous. And for a lot of those women, allowing trans people into their picture of the world at first challenged their sense of stability and comfort. It was difficult emotional work they needed to do, but still difficult. And that makes total sense to me. Like, it's very easy for me to understand why someone would feel that way. So it's not just evil bigots who are attracted to the gender critical worldview. And in this video, I don't just want to parody TERFs. This time, I want to really engage with gender critical ideas in the public arena of free speech, open communication, dialogue, conversation, debate, idea, marketplace, expression, discourse. Maybe I'll even get in touch with my inner rad femme. She's a little shy, sure, but she's here. Not queer, reads a lot of Germaine Greer, and when I am having a dark night of the soul sweaty, she's feeling extra biological, and when the full moon shines, she speaks. Ugh, this is agony. I'm a biological woman trapped in the body of a male narcissist. Can you imagine? Oh, okay. So she's a little out of touch, sure, but she's not a bigot, you know? I'm sure she doesn't hate trans people, she just has a few concerns. You know, it's like you're not even allowed to ask questions anymore, or you're accused of transphobia. We're all just expected to conform to this gender ideology that we, the public, never got a chance to debate. We didn't vote for trans orthodoxy, yet here we are allowing biological males to run rampant in women's spaces, foisting penises on lesbians, and indoctrinating our children with the ludicrous dogma that girls can become boys with a change of costume. Oh, it rattles my chromosomes. She goes on like that for hours. It's like being trapped at the bottom of an elevator shaft with the ghost of Anita Bryant. Do you kids even know who Anita Bryant is? Do you have any idea how many decades I fought for your rights? Wait, is Anita Bryant even dead? Scholars remain divided. It does seem like it's getting harder to have conversations about different topics. You know, our children are coming of age in this Orwellian nightmare where you can face consequences for simply having a politically incorrect opinion about the Jewish